American punch counted. War-wearied Germans surrendered in droves. The end was near at hand. And finally, on that unforgettable November the 11th, the blessed Armistice came to the French. The triumphant legions of the Allies and the AEF swept back from the hard-won fields of victory. And over the whole world rose a paean and clamor of hysterical joy at the end of the horrible struggle. Paris, London, New York. Who could ever forget that surging, glorious day of celebration in New York City? From tip to tip of Manhattan Island, the streets were jammed from curb to curb by people utterly abandoned to joy.
Welcome to Heroes Among Us on Martin County TV. We have a special show today, and November 11th at the 11th hour of 1918 is when the Allied forces made an agreement with Germany in France to end World War I. And today I have as my guest Alice Lockhart, and she's going to give you some history on Harold Johns, who was a World War I veteran here in Martin County. So Alice, tell us a little bit about Harold Johns and how he was involved in World War I.
Well, first of all, Harold Johns is a native son, and he was born in 1895, one of the very first babies even born in this area. So that makes him unique all by himself. And he came of the Johns family, which was involved in grocery stores and eventually the funeral home, Johns Funeral Home. So he has a family that's been here all these years from the very beginning. And he was the middle child, tall in height, light brown hair, gray eyes, and just a very nice, youthful boy. And he loved engineering. So close to the time of the United States entering World War I, he was studying and being an engineer up in Jacksonville. But when the call came that the United States enters the war in April 1917, he feels he must join.
And he served from 1917 to 1918, I believe, right, in the United States Army?
Yes. It was actually the Company E of the United States Army, 103rd Engineers, 28th Division that went to France.
Right. And I believe there's an American Legion post here in Stewart that carries his name, right?
Well, due to him being the first killed in battle here representing the United States, when the American Legion post was formed in 1919 here in Stewart, they all decided that definitely it should be named in his honor. So it's called the Harold R. Johns American Legion Post 62.
Yes. Right. And what's going on right now, though, I don't want to say today because this is going to air several different times, but this is the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I, which is, it was 1918, so here we are at 2018.
And that's why a lot of people are recognizing this anniversary, not only because it's 100th, but because sometimes it's called the Forgotten War, like some of the other ones, like the Korean War. And they want to just remind people who had ancestors, particularly, that fought in that war and died in that war, you know, what it meant and how we were involved and, you know, what sacrifices their ancestors made. Because a lot of the deaths, too, were not just in battle like what Harold Johns faced. His was a battle wound that he died from. But a lot of them died from the Spanish flu that just overtook the world, literally. And a lot of our soldiers, even from Stewart, also caught the Spanish flu and died from that without ever seeing battle.
Yeah, we know that every war is horrible, and World War I had its own horror. And it only lasted for what, about a year, right?
Well, remember, it already started in 1914 in Europe.
1914, okay.
But the United States was reluctant to join in, and it's not until we're almost pressed into it, with a lot of our own ships being attacked, that finally President Wilson declares war, and that's April 1917. Is
there anything else that you would like to say about, you know, especially about Harold Johns and anything he came away with from World War I as a veteran from there?
Well, again, he made it his purpose to serve the best he can, and in the engineer corps where he selected. And he is sent over to France, then after further training here, and he's there from May 18th, 1918. He first arrives in France. Now, right away, he sees a lot of battles in France, because a lot of the fighting was there, especially in the northwest section, northeast and northwest section. And over the next few months, he actually is involved in literally pushing back 2 German divisions, not by himself, but with his group, but he was the leader of it. And he was decorated for those actions on August 1918 by General George Patton for his valor and service. So he is the first Stuart Fellow for the First World War to receive such recognition for his work.
I believe General Patton was the one who introduced tanks
Yes.
to the war, which was something new at the time, which helped tremendously. In
A lot of new items for, the
yeah.
tear gas and things like that were
Sure.
all factors that a lot of the soldiers had to get used to or die from, one or the other.
So we have an event coming up here in Stewart now. Would you like to say anything about the event we're holding at Memorial Park?
It will be the Veterans Council is sponsoring a parade. A lot of different veterans groups, the DAR, a lot of organizations that will be participating in the parade along East Ocean. Starts at 10, goes to about 10:45. Then there will be different speakers at Memorial Park over there by the Veterans section in the back. And I will be leading off. I will be telling more about Harold Johns. And then right at 11 o'clock, the 11th hour, the 11th day, the 11th month, we have a special antique bell that will be brought there. And we have descendants of the Harold Johns family that will be doing 21 rings of that bell, marking the 11th hour.
Fantastic. Alice, I want to thank you for coming and giving us this precious information about Harold Johns and World War I, and of course what's going to be going on at the City of Stewart. So thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. And I want to thank everyone here for watching Heroes Among Us. Please come to the parade and the event on Sunday, November 11th. It's an historic event, and remember, when you go to the event, thank your veterans for their service, the men and women who serve for us, so we may have the freedom we have in the United States of America. Thank you, and I hope to see you again on the next show of Heroes Among Us.